Yes. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Veterans Minimum. At Veterans Minimum was where you can find the show. At the Lame Shows, you can find me, my guy, ALLEN, back in the building. Finally let you in.
Yeah.
Dude, I got no phone calls. I got no text messages. And then I'm sitting here. Shouts to Eric in the background, man. Producer Eric, video editor Eric. And I text you. I'm like, yo, ETA, because you said you'd be here around 7. And you're like, bro, I've been outside for 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
and then Eric could attest to this too. I just like ran out.
Thankfully, it's over 40 degrees, which is a rarity for New York winter. So it wasn't too bad.
Right before New Year's. Dude, how was your holiday, man?
We had to keep it low key, but managed through it. I got to mention Vikings defense. I'm a firm supporter of the Vikings, and they just had to allow Alvin Kamara to break records, and lost my fantasy championship, but you gotta take it. It was crazy. I actually had Mike Evans, and I thought, okay, I might get back into this. And then the guy I was playing against had like Gaskin and Waller that night, and I was like, all right, well, that's pretty much it. And I had like Hawkinson, Ayuk too. Backup QBs don't help anything, but I don't know. I think we're coming off a really good week for football, and I'm just amazed at how crazy the AFC is right now. I think that's like the biggest pressing thing besides the breaking news that just happened a few hours ago.
Yeah, man. Right before we started recording, Dwayne Haskins released. Eric said that he saw it coming. I didn't see it coming, bro.
There were inklings.
Yeah, but to cut him,
it's a statement.
Sure, if you want to change the culture of the franchise, without a doubt. But I think that was definitely a shock to me when I woke up and saw that, because I took a nap. I woke up, I saw the breaking news, and then that's when I texted you. I was like, yo, we got to talk about this one too.
So part of it makes me think they're confident Alex Smith's going to play, but then the other part, just like, okay, it's been rumblings for like 6 months now that this is probably not going to work out. Because remember, Haskins, there were even reports going back in the summer about Ron Rivera not particularly liking him too much. There were even buzzes about maybe Kyle Allen could play at some point. And what do you know, Kyle Allen eventually comes in late September, early October. So I think it was just kind of like the writing on the wall. And you look at Haskins, this situation, this is one of the most cleanest opportunities you could ask for as a young quarterback. Like Washington, they've needed a quarterback for so long. And because you see certain organizations where the leash for a young quarterback is not that long. I feel like with Washington, he had every opportunity and he blew it. And, based with the whole strip club situation, and then to just in that moment, look completely lost. Like I didn't watch every play of that game, but like every moment you saw like Washington like make a mistake, it was on him. He was missing open receivers. He wasn't making the right reads. Like he just looked like a complete liability. And between that and then what happened last week, it's just I don't know how you can rely on him. So I could totally understand why they did it. I know some people are saying it wasn't a good PR look. They should cut him after the whole strip club thing. Look, he's a former first-round pick, and they're in a situation where they could win division. All they had to do is win one game. So I can understand why they wanted to give him every opportunity to prove himself. But I think to fall apart like he did against a pretty below-average Carolina team had to be done.
Especially when Carolina has nothing to play for. Mm-hmm. They don't have playoff aspirations.
And they've one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah. If there was ever a get-right spot, it would be that one. Right. As a Giant fan who still have a chance at the playoffs, I'm devastated that they cut Dwayne Haskins, because I was hoping he would start on Sunday against the Eagles. Because Dallas is all of a sudden probably the favorite to make it. I mean, if Washington loses and either the Giants or Cowboys win, whoever wins that wins the division. Washington, like you said, win and you're in. They're playing the Eagles. They're playing in Philly. So you do have that. That's why I'm a little optimistic. But I want to go back to the start for Dwayne Haskins. As a Giants fan, I remember when the Giants took Daniel Jones in that class. He's on his phone, and you see him sort of go when they draft Daniel Jones, right? And then he goes number 15 or 17.
15.
15, and then he says, oh, they go regret that they passed on me. No, from day one, I was off Haskins. I didn't like Haskins from the beginning. I'm not a fan of that kind of quarterback, that one-hit wonder in college who comes from a system that's a one-read-and-go kind of guy. It's hard for those kind of dudes to pan out. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, you could say, bro, Joe Burrow's looked fantastic. right? But Joe Burrow had an all-time season in college, and he also looked the part more than Dwayne Haskins did, in my opinion, at least. So with Dwayne Haskins, I am surprised that they cut him. It's interesting. I don't think he gets picked up because at this point, who's going to pick him up? You think a playoff team would pick him up?
I don't think I think these teams have insurance policies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if God forbid your starter goes down, you're not going to go to a guy in a playoff game that you just signed off waivers.
Yeah. Maybe something drastic with the Rams if they make the playoffs and Goff's still not back and the backup QB is a complete nightmare. But I just think right now Haskins needs a couple of months to himself and just to get himself right. Like even what he did, I didn't think was that like that despicable. Like, okay, he went to a strip club, not wearing masks. It's a bad look, but people are calling for him to be released after that, and it's like, look, you could do a lot worse. And,
you could definitely do a lot worse.
Yeah.
I think it's really weird that that's the request that people had for him to be released like right away, right? Like, I get it, man. You're the quarterback of an NFL franchise, one of the more marketable and rich franchises in the league. There is a leadership aspect to it where, you know what? If you're the starting quarterback, maybe you shouldn't, right? You should be more responsible. That you're given the keys to the kingdom as a franchise guy. So I get that. He's a young kid too.
Yeah.
My concerns with him go
It's on the field.
before, like, what about last year in his first start? The team gets the ball back on offense, and he's like taking selfies with fans. Remember, he's taking selfies with fans in the crowd, and
that's when they beat Detroit.
Yeah, and just like weird shit like that, where you're not established yet, bro. Like you're not. You know who can act a fool? Pat Mahomes could act a fool. Pat Mahomes could go into the crowd and take selfies with people, and Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert could do that because it's like, all right, we know there's no debate in LA about Justin Herbert being the future of that franchise.
Right.
There's no debate about Joe Burrow in Cincinnati being the face of that franchise, right? I get he's hurt now, but I'm saying just the equity that those guys have built up and the cachet. You just have to have a little more self-awareness if you're a quarterback, especially.
It was a crazy stat. Since 2000, when it comes to first-round quarterbacks, only 4 have been cut within 3 years. So we have Brandon Weeden, Paxton Lynch, and Johnny Manziel. And now obviously Haskins. The big difference with those 3, they were cut between the second and third year. Haskins was cut before the second year was even done. And you have to question is obviously maturity. Coming out, he had 2 years of eligibility left. And just for someone like Ron Rivera, because I know Ron Rivera is known as a disciplinarian, but he's a very much a player's coach. So there had to be more than just what happened with the strip club incident for this decision to be made. Like I said, it had to be months in advance where he was getting very frustrated.
It seems weird because I don't know if it might be. There has to be more to this because you would see the videos. I know my buddy Josh, our friend Josh, is a big Washington fan, and he would send videos of Alex Smith getting tackled on the sidelines, and the first person to pick him up is Dwayne Haskins. And there was that rapport between the two of them, sort of how you see Fitzpatrick with Tua in Miami. There seemed to be like a big brother, little brother thing where Alex Smith must have known or assume that, this isn't a forever thing with me. Like, this is the guy that they want to groom to be the heir apparent to become the guy in Washington. Right. But there has to be, there's definitely more to it, though, too. I would agree with you. Also, Ron Rivera making this move is very alarming because, like you said, he's a guy who is well-respected in the league. He's a player's coach. I mean, when he got fired from Carolina last year, I just remember the outpour of cries from former players and current players like, yo, that's my dog. That's my guy. And that's very telling as well.
And that's why he got a job a month later. You have to sit out a year. They're like, okay, you're going to get opportunities. And I thought he was going to go to the Giants or Jaguars, but Washington gave him a chance.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around on Joe Judge, but I definitely wanted Ron Rivera because Ron Rivera is the kind of coach, man, he could change the culture of your franchise around immediately. Yeah.
And that's not a good roster. Like the fact that Washington is like competitive. Like you look at the offensive personnel without McLaurin yesterday. Like Logan Thomas, the tight end, J.D. McKissick at running back. Like these guys were playing different positions like 3-4 years ago, just trying to make a roster. And now they're key players within your offense. Like they're like 2-3 years ahead of schedule when it comes to competing. Now, granted, they're playing the worst division in 50 years, But
damn, it's been that bad. I mean, yeah, 6 wins probably gonna win the division.
It's when you think about it, like there's been 7-9 winners. There've been 7-8-1 Carolina in 2014, but like 6-10, that's brutal. And like if the Giants win it, the main reason they won it is because they're 4-2 in the division. They've only won 2 games at conference. It was Seattle or at division, I should say. It's Seattle and who else they beat? Cincy.
Yeah.
So it's not just a bad division, but like I feel like the teams in that division pretty much beat each other. But you look at their record probably outside the NFC East, and it's
abysmal. Yeah. What would you say? This was a talking point that I really wanted to have with you. As a football fan, and I'm going to try not to be biased, who do you want to win the NFC East?
I still want Washington.
Yeah?
I think it's a cool story, and I've always been more of a defensive guy. So.
All right, podcast over.
Yeah, well. Look, I'm intrigued at what the Giants are doing, but that Browns game was top 5 worst games I've ever watched in my life. Like, it was bad. Like, that Giants offense, I know it was Colt McCoy back there, but they just looked hopeless. And I don't want to see – I know, and you can make this argument because whoever wins division is probably going to play Tampa, and the Giants gave Tampa a real good game a couple months ago. So you could make that argument. But it's just Giants offense right now looks unwatchable. And, yeah, they got good defense, but I don't think they have the defensive personnel where I get, like, overly excited about. Like, they have good, solid foundation, solid, complementary pieces. Then you obviously get your Bradbury's been a stud. But just, Washington, you got Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Sweat, and De'Aaron Payne. Like, I love that defensive line. So, just me personally, I would love to see Washington and, for having the respect that I have for Ron Rivera, I was like, okay, I think they could probably, not push Tampa Bay to the brink, but they can make it a little difficult. Like, I could see them giving Brady some issues where Brady gets frustrated a little bit. Dallas, I don't think Dallas has they got the skill position players, but I don't see Andy Dalton lasting for too long, and we already know about that Dallas defense. And the Giants is just, I think I look at Daniel Jones, I'm like, it's probably going to be a 2-3 turnover game. So I'm going to ride with Washington. I hope they pull it off. I'm
so conflicted because the Giants haven't looked good since and I were texting about
Seattle game.
After the Seattle game, you text me, you go, I'm looking forward to watching the Giant playoff game with you. And then I was like, we're throwing a crazy playoff party at the studio.
It can still happen. Hey.
And they haven't won since.
I kind of underestimate how tough their schedule was because, look, it's not like they've been playing such.
But, to be fair, dude, after you beat Seattle,
momentum's high.
13-point underdog on the road, the way they looked, you're saying with Colt McCoy, you're like, they get Daniel Jones back. Like, you already won a game that you weren't supposed to.
Yeah, the Arizona game, that was a huge letdown for me.
Yeah,
because Arizona's looked very sketchy, and it's just, it was pretty decisive how they lost. So, look, they still got hope, but it's never a good thing to be in a position in Week 17 where you don't control your own destiny. Like you need outside support, and from Philly, of all places. But I don't know. I kind of like the Washington story. I think just the way they've kind of overachieved a little bit this year, and I look at the matchup because I look at all 3 teams how they would fare against Tampa Bay. I really don't want Dallas because I just think Dallas, even though they have these skill position players, it's like Andy Dalton's going to falter at some point, and Brady's probably going to put up at least 35 on him.
On that defense, too, especially. Yeah,
so I really have zero interest in seeing Dallas. It would probably be either Washington, Giants, and then the Cowboys.
From an offensive skill standpoint, I think Dallas would give them the most headaches for Tampa Bay.
It's just they have no O-line either. You got Block Barrett, JPP, Sue, and Bowles brings those blitzes. That's why, they got some players look, man, throw up to Michael Gallup and those Tampa corners. That's where you want to, exploit. But I can't see them holding up against Tampa. You need to make it ugly if you play Tampa.
Well, I'm 1,000% biased, but from a storyline perspective, the answer is the Giants.
Oh,
Giants against Brady, that's. Dude, that's a wet dream of mine.
Yeah.
For them to beat, it would make 2021 for me. The Giants play Tampa Bay in the playoffs at home, and they beat Brady. Oh.
Man.
3-0 in the playoffs when it matters most. Like,
damn,
dude.
You're dreaming.
Nah, I am. Yeah.
Let's just try to get to Sunday. Yeah.
But it's a good opportunity for
Yeah.
honestly for all these teams have a chance. And now with who knows who's going to play quarterback for Washington at the time we're recording, Heineke is going to play quarterback. It seems like, or if
Yeah.
Alex Smith is cleared, and then they just signed the dude off the practice squad.
I watched Heineke 2018 play the Falcons. That was like a couple days before Christmas. He looked lost. But now, granted, this was 2018, and who knows? But what was I going to mention before about, was it Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know, are like people that buzzed about Dallas? Like, do you think it's like, okay, they got the skill position players, but do people really want to see Dallas like continue to make this push? Like, they have like this fanfare behind them? Because I feel like they've been pulling off some wins, but it's been pretty much on the radar. People are like, whatever.
I honestly, I think no one wants to see an NFC East team in the playoffs.
Well, that's obvious.
Yeah. With Dallas, the cachet of them being America's team and a popular team, I get that. You know, it'll probably be. I'll tell you this much: if the Saturday night game will probably be Dallas Tampa prime time. You put that on there, Brady against the Cowboys.
Andy Dolan, all right.
There is that as well, but you know, it's weird, man. That's
you tell me if like a Pittsburgh Baltimore that happens. Oh, I gotta put that.
What would you say in the AFC is the matchup you're most looking forward to? I'm talking about like playoff wise, because for the most part, the AFC is kind of.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because Pittsburgh's still playing for a 2 seed, and that affects Cleveland because they're playing each other. Buffalo, if they win tonight, they're still playing for a 2 seed. They affect Miami. Colts are still lurking.
That's right.
I think other than the Ravens, because their Ravens are playing the Bengals, like that wild card situation is still a lot to be determined, especially with seeding. That's why I'm just thinking of random matches in my head, like imagine Pittsburgh Baltimore again, or even Baltimore Buffalo, because who will want to see Lamar on Saturday night? So, but I think it's more of, I don't know who we think is going to fall out. Like, do you because Indy's playing Jacksonville, so Indy's going to be in a prime position. Issue is they don't control their destiny. Now it comes down to either Miami or Cleveland, who's going to, because they're playing top opponents.
Man, Cleveland, what a bad break for. Dude, if you lose to the Jets, you shouldn't make the playoffs. That should be.
I'm gonna put asterisk just because of the whole COVID situation.
No, I know. That's why I was saying the bad break where they lost all 5 of their wide receivers, 4 of their wide receivers.
4 receivers. They lost Willis and Teller, 2 of their best offensive linemen. I know they lost a couple
Goodson
linebackers.
was out too.
Yeah, so
fucking guy leaves the Giants and he's playing at such a high level, bro. It's so annoying.
You gotta get out of there.
You do, yeah. It seems like it.
But I don't know, and who knows if they're gonna be back in time. And as bad as Pittsburgh has looked, they're still.
Well, I will say that win that they had against the Colts was.
It was a good comeback.
Great comeback. Yeah. It seemed like Ben was more willing to get hit in that game. Like it seemed like that whole quick get the ball out shit. It seemed like he was a little old school Ben. Like there, you saw sometimes guys were draped on him. He was still standing in the pocket. So I don't know if that was a product of game environment or something. Yeah, the matchup.
Because Matt Efrelias, the defense coordinator, his defense is built on we were taking everything underneath. Mm-hmm. We're just gonna make sure
they're very heavy zone scheme defense.
That's why they signed Xavier Rhodes and they got Kenny Moore, a bunch of those guys. So I could see why Ben was able to be a little bit more aggressive. And look, he has the personnel to do it. Like I still say Pittsburgh is top 3 receiving corps outside of Tampa and Dallas. I think you look at the receiving units across the league, I would take Pittsburgh's over the rest. If you want to look at a trio or even 4.
What about Kansas City?
Or Seattle, too. Maybe top 5.
No,
but you look at Johnson, Claypool.
Remember when I spent the whole offseason talking about the Giants being in that discussion, too?
Well, they need a legit number 1. You got a couple of slot guys and a deep threat.
Yeah. But, dude, I agree with you, man. I think Pittsburgh needed that one. I think that was a big win for Pittsburgh because no team in NFL history ever started the year off 11-0 and dropped 4 games in a row. So that was a big one for them that they came out with that. And also, I think Pittsburgh, the defense has really gotten banged up. Like they've lost a lot of big names on that defense this year. And I'm so conflicted on the AFC because what do you think is happening with Kansas City? You watched them yesterday.
Aren't they the 1 seed?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But I know I'm going to bitch and moan about a team that has lost 1 game all year. But already they're saying that they're going to rest starters for Week 17. How about this? How do you feel about that? You've clinched the 1 seed. You're going to rest your players Week 17. So in theory, when you come back for the divisional game, you haven't played in 3 weeks.
It could be dicey, and firsthand. Remember Green Bay? They took a couple weeks off. They played the Giants, and they looked sloppy.
Game was over in the first half.
They had like 8 drops. So, but I just think this Kansas City team is so battle tested. So that's why I'm still kind of confident, especially with their coaching staff as well. They don't give enough. Man, Spagnuolo doesn't get enough credit. He gets forgotten about there because they talk with Andy Reid and Eric Benway. I think Spag's done a real good job over there because they don't have the best personnel. And yeah, teams could get at them on the ground, but the way they've rebuilt their secondary and then especially the blitz packages they were using, like man, they were getting after Matt Ryan. Now I know a lot of defenses gotten after Matt Ryan this year, but Kansas City, I think with Spagnuolo, I trust how experienced they are and just given the personnel. And I think a couple guys, I know Watkins got injured and Tyreek Hill's been battling an ankle issue. So I think the extra rest would definitely benefit them. And I think they hope Mitchell Schwartz will probably get back at some point. He's their best tackle. And I think Mahomes getting hit a little too much lately. Like they've replaced him with Mike Remmers, and Mike Remmers like this journeyman. He's never been good. So no, I think I'm 100% behind them resting everyone and just getting healthy.